Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz pianist and composer Emmet Cohen. We spoke at length during the COVID-19 quarantine of April 2020. We discussed how fans can continue to support artists, what he's been doing, and the hopeful future, along with a little bit more. So please dig it.
Let me ask you a question. Are you up there in New York City?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how you holding in?
I'm doing pretty well, hanging in there. I think it's a lot worse on the news and everywhere than it is like just day-to-day life, in New York City. Still walking around the neighborhood, I got a couple of friends who I'm quarantined with, and we're doing concerts on Monday nights,
That's wonderful, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out during this time to talk to musicians about how all of us can support and all of that. And I did notice that you've been doing some live shows. So, yeah, the news is always going to be a different kind of a deal. But definitely, New York is the epicenter. So, that's the one thing I did want to kind of ask you up front. Along with live stream, what can fans do to support jazz artists right now that the music has stopped and it's a pretty tough time?
I think that there's a couple of things. People are still desperate for art and engagement and community, and I think that it's the artist's responsibility in this time to create that and to maintain a sense of normalcy about the connection that music can provide, the interaction that people improvising together can teach you about life, and it can really help people understand how to navigate tough times. Improvisation is the key, in all of this, because this is uncharted territory, and we don't really know, what's going to happen, and it's really just one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And I think the biggest thing musicians can do is just spread positivity and love and a sense of community in this time.
The one thing, too, that I do want to ask, speaking of hope, positivity, we're going to get through this and we're going to get to a point where musicians will be back on stage and the fans will be back in the crowd. What revelations do you hope we get from this time away that is wise, that's good when we come back?
Everyone's going to have a different revelation. I think everyone's world is being turned on its head, and people are going to take away different things from this time. I've heard a lot of people that I know have just been traveling for years and years and years, and not stopping. And it's an opportunity to see the universe telling us slow down, to just take a breather. There's been a lot of musicians who said, now that they don't have gigs and they don't have performances, they can't rush from one rehearsal to the next. They have to reevaluate why they play music and the intrinsic message that it brings. And I think for everyone it's going to be slightly different, but the thing to remember is that everybody in the world, all 7 billion people, are feeling some version of this where they can't do something that they did before, or that they have to reassess their line of work, or for musicians especially, it's going to become a lot of online platforms. And so I've traveled around the country and developed an audience in all of my favorite cities that we visit, and those people are turning to me now for support, artistic guidance, for a sense of community, and it's my responsibility, and I think for all artists, to reach out to their audiences and just provide them some sense of normalcy. And so that's what I'm trying to do, and especially cultivate like a little online thing. And we play on Monday nights, and it's supposed to be like coming to the jazz club, and I try to make it as friendly as possible and welcome people into my home, and show people that we can still find positivity in the world, given any circumstance.
Wonderful. That's exactly what I was looking for. Emmet, thank you for taking a minute out. Stay safe out there. Good luck with everything, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate it too. If you can, give us a shout on the radio.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Kansas City, New York City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Emmet for taking some time out for us during a very trying time and for all the music. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.